Welcome to the Spark Good podcast, your weekly dose of inspiration, strategies, and stories that will ignite your passion for making a difference through your business. I'm your host, Stephanie Malon-Rufi, and together we will dive into the world of entrepreneurship and small business and explore how we can harness its power to spark good and change how we do business. I believe in the incredible potential that business can have in making a positive social impact, and I want to help you discover how you can better align your business goals with meaningful causes and contribute to a better world. Plus, you'll learn how to nurture your own well-being, change traditional rules that might be holding you back, and thrive in your role as a social business owner. All right, let's dive in. Hello. Welcome to the Spark Good podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie Malon-Rufi, and I am just so thrilled to be back podcasting with you. We've had a little bit of a break, but I am coming back so, I would say, rejuvenated, so clear on the work that I want to do and how I want to continue to serve the entrepreneurial community that's full of amazing, passionate individuals who want to grow a business that supports themselves, their family, their passion, and also has a positive impact in our world. So we get into all of that on the Spark Good podcast. So again, welcome. Thank you for joining. From here on out, you can expect to hear weekly episodes every Tuesday. And we're just going to get into all these topics that hopefully will support you on your path of developing your business, getting it to that next level, and just stepping into your own power as being the leader and the visionary of your work. So on today's episode, we're going to be talking about shifting from that entrepreneurial kind of very startup ideating mindset and moving to one that's more of a CEO. And I know a lot of people who start a business, who are an entrepreneur, who are a solopreneur, maybe have a few people working for you part-time or have some contractors, and you might be like, I'm not a CEO. Well, I would beg to differ. I would say, what is a CEO? Chief Executive Officer. And that's pretty much the work that you do. Now, there are some differences, and that's why I love talking about entrepreneurial mindset versus CEO mindset, because we need to move as businesses start to get traction and grow. You as the leader, as the owner, the entrepreneur, you need to grow with your business as well. And a lot of that growth comes through your mindset. So this is really such an important topic, because once you get going, then it's kind of helping you get to that next level. And that's actually a lot of the times where I work with clients. So a lot of the clients I work with, they've come in with this entrepreneurial mindset. They have gotten some business. They have some people who are buying what they're selling. There's a lot of interest in what they're doing, and they're feeling really excited and great and have so many ideas. And they're doing a lot of experimenting, right? That's what happens when you're starting out. You've got to try some different things, but you can often feel like maybe a little bit too all over the board and not having enough focus. And so that's where a lot of the work that I do is helping my clients really hone in on what they want to focus on. And there's a lot that goes into it. That might be your own, your personal, what your values are and what your vision is. And then what does that mean for your business, and how does that all align with where you want to go? So as you are moving, as you're shifting to get to that point, that's where it's really helpful to understand some of the mindset shifts that really have to occur during that time. So what I thought today was that I could really share with you what it looks like and start to talk about making those shifts. I'm actually going to have a few episodes on this because I think this topic is really worthy of deep diving into some categories of it and really helping you understand. kind of what that looks like. So today what I thought we would do is just really understand these different mindsets, why it's important to make this shift. I want to get into that a little bit more. And yeah, think about what does that look like? What are the next steps? Again, this shift is really important if you plan to grow your business so that, you can have consistent income, which means consistent revenue, right? That you can maybe hire some outside help and you're still having the impact you want to have. Now, I say, if you're someone, you have a side hustle, you kind of want to keep it at that, or you're just kind of you kind of figured out the revenue you want coming in and you're happy with it. Awesome. But a lot of people I work with, they want to get to that next level. And, having that, knowing when that money's coming in, having that consistent, being able to maybe grow a team, whether it's small or big. I know a lot of people really want to get there. So this is for you. If that resonates for you, and it can also resonate, maybe you're there, maybe you have a small team and you're at a great place, but you want to go and jump to the next place, right? That next phase or iteration or whatever it is. That anytime you do those shifts, it's going to require a shift in mindset. So what is mindset though, right? Let's talk about that a minute. Let's ground ourselves in just making sure that we are all on the same page with what we're talking about. So as a refresher, maybe for some, or maybe this is something you haven't really learned a lot about yet. So I just want to remind all of us what is mindset. And mindset, really, that's that collection of beliefs, attitudes, perspectives, and framework, okay, that shape how we as individuals perceive, interpret, and respond to the world around us. So I'm going to just say that again, right? So it's our beliefs, attitudes, perspectives, and frameworks. So it's all the things that are kind of programmed in our mind, and that's going to shape how we are perceiving, interpreting, and responding to the world around us. And our mindset can influence our behaviors, our habits, how we make decisions, how we approach life, how we approach work, how we're in relationship with others, how we handle challenges. Okay, that's going to give you a clue. Like when you kind of really tap into your mindset and understand where you are with it, it's going to let you know then how you're going to respond to these pieces of your life. And so again, making sure we understand that that's what our mindset is. So it's a very important component really for anyone in life, but especially I find in that entrepreneurial world when you're running your own business, this comes up a lot. It's a real big one. So if you haven't done a lot of mindset work or read about it, I highly encourage you to do that. But that's what we're starting with. So our mindset, it's that fundamental role that shapes our perceptions and then how we're behaving to them. And our mindset, it can be cultivated and developed over time through intentional effort, self-awareness, practice, and overall, when we have a better well-being, when we're supporting our whole kind of well-being, that plays a factor too. But I think that's actually one of the beautiful things about mindset is that it's something that can be changed, that you do have some control over, and that it's really like that self-awareness piece, critical, being really intentional with your effort, and then practicing and learning. Okay. So when I talk about entrepreneurial mindset and CEO mindset, let's now define that more. So now we're going to take that definition of mindset and put this entrepreneurial lens on it. And that often is characterized, most typically, again, I am generalizing, okay, but I think most people are going to connect with this definition or with pieces of it. So an entrepreneurial mindset, there's often a lot of agility involved, right? So that's where I can move here. I can do this. Oh yeah, I can do that, this, that. You're kind of ping-ponging all over and you can be very agile. There's risk taking for sure. That's a pretty common hallmark for people starting businesses, right? There's a certain amount of risk in starting your business, and that risk can look different, right? It doesn't have to mean, sometimes it's a financial risk. Sometimes, especially in businesses like that are inventory heavy, a product-based business, or that are a location, brick and mortar as they're called. So there's money that gets tied up in that, from the get-go. So that's a risk, right? I got to put money into this. I don't even know where it's going to go. And there's also risk. Other investments can just even your time, putting your time and energy into something, choosing to do that. That's a risk. And there's also the risk of you're doing this. You've got to communicate it to people. Typically, you need others to buy from you, to sell to. So you have to reveal that this is what you're doing. And that can be a risk for people, to feel vulnerable and put yourself out there. So that's another type of risk. So that all comes with being entrepreneurial. And another hallmark of that entrepreneurial mindset is the hustle. Now, I think this sort of hustle culture, and we're seeing that there's kind of a pushback on that, which I think is good, and I agree with it. But the reality is, sometimes when you are just, in the trenches getting dirty, there's a little bit of hustle you got to bring forward. And that's very common in that entrepreneurial framework. So you're just doing what you got to do to make it happen. Sometimes you're bending, you're making things fit, you're switching gears, you're pivoting quickly. Sometimes you're getting scrappy, and certainly wearing all the hats, right? This is what happens at an entrepreneurial stage. And that mindset is embracing those things and doing it. Now, to contrast that to the CEO mindset, that really is where strategic decision-making, that's an emphasis, okay? So that's where you're taking a step back, being less reactive, right? Sometimes in that entrepreneurial mindset, you're reactive. You want to do it. Can you do this? Yes, right? Because you're trying to make it happen. You're trying to, oh, okay, yes, I'm going to do it. But once you really move to that CEO mindset, it's like, okay, I need to be strategic. I need to think bigger picture. I need to make sure that everything's aligning. So often you'll see that come through, especially in decision making. A lot of times systems, process, sort of operations there's a flow to it. Okay. It's not as choppy. Some things have been ironed out, and, some things are automated, or sort of there's a process that's followed and repeatable. And moving into that space, it's also recognizing, long-term sustainability is important. And sustainability means a number of things. The first one I would say is that financial sustainability piece. So that CEO mindset is knowing what systems are going to work. And I even say mindfully not wearing all the hats. Okay. I'll get more into this as we go through this series, but sometimes wearing all the hats, all that switching can be chaotic. And so how can you mindfully step back from that and be more strategic? So hopefully that makes sense, sort of that entrepreneurial mindset to the CEO mindset. And why, a little bit more about why that CEO mindset is so important, because it really is what is going to help growth also be sustainable. So I'm saying sustainable and really thriving. And I say that because, even when you have the entrepreneurial mindset and you're still kind of zinging around, sometimes things happen and shift very quickly. Something might go what's known as viral, which, not everyone, a lot of people say, if I could just go viral, right? But going viral actually isn't sustainable. Sometimes people go viral. It might give a boost in something. It might even give a financial boost for sure. It can also give a boost sometimes in some of your metrics, social media. Oh, now I have all these followers, right? So you can get a boost, but sometimes that boost is not sustainable. And if you're in that entrepreneurial mindset, you can struggle to figure out how to make it sustainable. So that's where I really talk about that sustainability piece when I am talking about moving into that CEO mindset space really important. All right. So what does it look like? Again, those key components of the CEO mindset. You are thriving. Okay, we're defining that thriving business as having consistent revenue, which of course, more consistent income for you. Having that solid systems and processes in place. You're profitable. You're having the impact that you want to have, right? So many of the business owners I work with, there is a real significant impact they want to have in the world. Social impact, environmental impact, which can often mean not externalizing those environmental costs, right? Operating in a way that's better for our environment and not detrimental to it. Many ways that we can have real positive impact with our business. And that's a lot of the people I work with, that's important to them. So those are key hallmarks of being in that CEO mindset, that thriving business space. Now let's talk about navigating this transition to getting there. So making this shift, it doesn't mean you're going to lose all the amazing components of being an entrepreneur, right? I mean, there's some real wonderful elements to that creativity and ideation, and sometimes that fast paced can be quite appealing and energizing. So you don't have to lose all of it, but it does mean that you're going to have to begin to change some of the ways that you approach different parts of your business. You probably are going to have to confront some habits that are not serving you anymore at this place, and also getting some outside support, perspective, expertise can be really helpful, especially if you want to build this bridge quicker, right? If you want to get there faster, sometimes having some outside support and guidance is going to help you get there. So it's really about shifting from being solely focused on that creativity, being in that like ready for anything, risk-taking, scrappy selling kind of mode, and being a strategic leader and understanding focus and understanding being strategic and building sustainability and growth to fulfill a long-term vision. And so, the question is, how can entrepreneurs navigate this transition? How can you build this bridge between the two? And I say the first thing is just start recognizing it's that awareness piece, right? With most change that we have in our business and really in our lives, it has to start with this awareness, with recognizing that, there needs to be a shift. And then from there, a couple of real practical things you can do right away. One is just do a quick assessment of your business, a snapshot. There's a number of ways you can do this. If you want to do a quick and dirty one, you can do a SWOT analysis. That's, SWOT, SWOT. For those not familiar, that's your strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Strength and weaknesses are an internal look, and then opportunities and threats are external. That's a real, sort of quick and dirty way to do at least an initial assessment. Other ways to do it for sure. And then also figuring out what are those systems and processes that you have or don't have that you need to develop. Where's opportunities to do that? Those are key. Sometimes I often work with people and they say, it's just me right now, right? I mean, you might contract out different pieces of your business, but especially, it might be, that's just me. I don't really need all these systems. And, you do. From day one, you want to be thinking of it, figuring out as you're going along, okay, now's the time to really get this implemented and solidified. Those systems, they're going to change with time. They're going to change as you grow. But if you have a foundation for it, it makes it so much easier. So looking at those right away is really helpful. The other thing to do as you're thinking about this is invest in some learning for yourself. Recognizing, okay, I want to develop myself more, my leadership, work on my mindset. What can I learn to help me get there? And as long as you don't rabbit hole, that's actually a key, I would say actually another key hallmark of moving from that entrepreneurial to the CEO mindset is knowing when certain activities, when you rabbit hole, right? Rabbit hole is you can spend hours and hours and hours researching and like, where did the time go? And I still don't know if I know enough. Okay. So knowing how much research is enough actually in those sort of things, or when you're learning kind of, oh, I'm at a good stopping point, that's actually another characteristic of moving more to that CEO mindset. So I say that learning, it's super important. Anytime we want to make a move and change and shift, learning is one of the core elements you need to do, but you don't want to get distracted by it. And then the last piece is building a network of support. And I'm going to talk a little bit about support as we get to the end here, but surrounding yourself with others who are either similar, in a similar space as you, as moving, trying to build that bridge and move to that CEO mindset. So others who have an awareness that needs to happen and are also moving there. It could be others who maybe are a little bit ahead of you, right? They can provide some support and guidance and ideas. But the key is not staying in a space. If you're with others in that entrepreneurial mindset and they're hustle, and that all the energy is about the hustle and just going a gazillion directions and not thinking about shifting, then you might want to reconsider that space with others who are in that kind of in that mindset, and how can you transition to being with those who are in a more similar space as you. Now, as I said, over the next couple of episodes, I'm going to dive more into some specific topics as it pertains to making this shift. Just to give you a little preview, one of them is decisive decision making. So that is where you're going to really shift from that reactive decision making to more informed strategic decisions that are more in alignment. But this is a really important one. Decisive decision making. And in my experience, that is where I have seen people can get stuck and can really backtrack if they cannot get this figured out for themselves. The second one is consistent action. Okay, actually all of these are ones that I see and work with a lot. And I put those two words together, very specifically. Taking action, super important, right? And believe me, I love visions and goals and doing all that creative and thinking about that, but it's not going to make much if you're not taking action, right? But consistent, also important. Consistent action is what's going to really move you forward. So how can you get more into the groove of consistent action? And the third one here is being strategic. Again, it's going from that sort of short-term thinking to bigger picture perspective, understanding long-term growth and really holding that in the balance of the now. And again, lots we're going to talk about with that one too. But so those are some of the key areas I'm going to talk about in the next few episodes. But with all of them, you are also going to hear the common theme, which is the value of having outside support and guidance. So this place where you are creating a bridge between entrepreneurial and CEO mindset, this place is where I work with a lot of clients. And there's two main ways. One is through one-on-one work, one-on-one coaching and mentoring that I offer. And in this process, you receive personalized guidance, support in choosing, first of all, your strategy. And that's a big one. And that is a passion of mine. I love talking about strategy and getting figured out for what's going to work with you. So support to decide on your strategy, develop your goals and your action plan that align with it, and staying accountable to it. Those are big pieces of what we do together. I always say that sort of the strategy piece is where some of my superpower shines, because I love to kind of take it all and figure out, okay, how can we focus in a very strategic way that's going to help to get you some traction to build your business and bring you revenue and profit. So that's one place, one-on-one coaching and mentoring. Again, there's a lot of people who do that too. So if I'm not your person, totally cool. But think about, is having some of that one-on-one work something that maybe you need? Maybe that's something, this is the year you want to really transition to having that CEO mindset and would like to have someone help you along the way. Secondly, it can be really helpful to join a business group or a mastermind program. There's so much support that can come from there, again, especially if you're with people who are at a similar space to you or on a similar path, right? Have an awareness of, I want to move to the next level. I know I need to make some shifts in my mindset, in my business, and there are others doing the same. Now, I've facilitated many different types of groups through the years, but what's so exciting is that I now have my own. So the Spark Good Collective is a group experience that I have that meets virtually twice a month. And in those meetings, we are focusing on your goals and being accountable to them, sharing resources and ideas, and also we do masterminding in there. And for those that join the group, there's also the option that's included is to have a 30-minute virtual one-on-one meeting with me each month. And that's where we can just dive into maybe a gnarly topic in your business, or we can kind of, look ahead and kind of where's your strategy at now. There's a lot of ways we can use that time, but that's kind of a nice complement to having that group scheduled time together. So if you're listening to this in real time, there's a new cohort starting on April 2nd, 2024. And if you're listening afterwards, go to the website and get on the wait list for when we open up new cohorts again. But you can learn about the Spark Good Collective as well as my one-on-one coaching, my website at www.sparkgood.net, or click the link in the show notes. So wanted to share those opportunities with you, but whether that resonates with you or not, I hope that you are coming away from this episode really, really thinking about, where is my mindset? Am I more entrepreneurial? Am I more CEO? Am I building this bridge between the two? So if anything, hopefully you're coming away with kind of thinking about that for yourself and figuring out where are you and what's working and where could you use some support. Again, I'm so happy to be back, and I look forward to getting back on track, and you'll hear from the Spark Good podcast again next Tuesday. And just thank you so much for listening. And one last request. If you are so moved, I would really appreciate having a rating and review. That helps other people find the podcast. Or you can share an episode with somebody who might need to hear it. And of course, if you follow or subscribe, that all helps as well, just to get more ears listening to the podcast. And on that note, thank you for joining me, and I hope you continue to spark good in the world. Well, thank you for listening to this episode of the Spark Good podcast. If you haven't yet, please subscribe or follow to the podcast and leave a rating and review so more people can listen and find us. Also, let's connect. You can head over to my website at www.sparkgood.net, where you can subscribe to my mail list and set up a time for us to have a virtual coffee chat. Thank you for joining.